think no matter what personnel we're in, just go back to who are our best players, how do we get them the ball, how do we put them in the best position to be successful.
He's coming to the Raiders now. That's a different organization than anybody else. There's 31 teams, and then there's the Raiders.
How many false starts can one franchise have? In the 40-plus years since their last Super Bowl, the Raiders have quite literally seen it all. Dual sport phenom Bo Jackson, a move back to Oakland, the John Gruden trade, Rich Gannon taking them to the Super Bowl, Derek Carr playing like an MVP until his leg broke, John Gruden, again, a move to Las Vegas, and the desperation heat for Davante Adams. Yet, nothing has worked. The autumn wind never followed the Raiders east to the high desert, so Mark Davis went back to the Pacific Coast in search of answers. We think he's found them. Klint Kubiak, fresh off a Super Bowl win in the Bay, is the spark this offense has been missing ever since Gruden left. With some of the most exciting young talent in the league, it's time we all acknowledge that the Las Vegas Raiders are officially a problem. Let's start by establishing exactly the kind of coach that Kubiak is. It's fun to talk about the big names like Jeanty, Bowers, and Crosby if he sticks around, but none of that matters if this front office and coaching staff can't change the culture in Vegas. If Klint Kubiak's name sounds familiar, it's because his dad, Gary, had 3 rings with the Broncos as a player and another as head coach in Super Bowl 50. Denver has consistently been one of the best run organizations in the league, so he knows the kind of people a front office needs to be successful in the NFL. Gary's early verdict? His son is in good hands.
But the thing that's really exciting for me is I know the people that he's going to work with every day. I know Spytek real good. I know Starkey. I know Thuse. Obviously getting to work with Tom and the ownership there. But, for me to know that he's around those type of people, because as a coach, there's no way you can do everything yourself. You got to surround yourself with good people, work for good people, and get in there and battle and have some good breaks along the way.
Remember, this is only GM John Spytek's second year in charge. Even if he's not always made the best decisions, owner Mark Davis has always tried to do right by the team, and got them a pretty sweet deal in moving to Vegas. According to Klint Kubiak himself,
there's just a lot to love about this organization. Look around this building and the resources that we have, our meal room, the weight room, the fields outside, the coaches' offices. It's as good as it gets in the NFL. Been in a lot of buildings for good reasons and bad reasons. Been hired and fired, and the resources are here. We just got to go put it all together.
Okay, so everything around him is looking right, and having a solid foundation is important. But what exactly makes Klint Kubiak the man to turn these Raiders around? One word: accountability.
And it starts with Clint, and Clint is holding us accountable. Like, it doesn't matter if I completed, a pass to Sheed today. It's gonna be like, I'll put it on this shoulder, not this shoulder, put it right here. It's like, it's coached and it's in front of everybody. The starting quarterback to someone trying to make the roster, like, everyone is getting coached extremely tough, and the standard is the standard. And, if I'm getting coached, he's really talking to all the quarterbacks. If he's talking to a receiver, he's talking to all the receivers, and we're all expected, once that point is made, to be on it. And so we'll go in there and I'll have, a handful of things especially from the first practice. There's always a handful, of rust, and he's going to drill, he's going to call it out and all that kind of stuff. And it's our job as players now to be like, okay, he said it, now hold each other accountable to it out here.
Across his time as offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints and Seattle Seahawks, accountability was at the center of everything he did as a coach. As the saying goes, the devil is in the details, so Klint Kubiak will feel right at home in Sin City. Something that he'll bring to this team is a clear identity on offense, which gurus like Josh McDaniels and Chip Kelly failed to do previously.
But Klint Kubiak has a scheme that they believe in, that they are running no matter what. And here it comes in, this culture and this scheme, that this is who we are. It is so abundantly clear who you are as an offense when you're in a room with him.
Love it.
You know the standard, you know exactly what's asked of you, and if you're not doing it, he tells you, and then you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally.
As the Lord intended.
That's it.
That's right.
And he's just honest.
So NFL football should be.
And when it comes to defense, he'll lean on his defense coordinator, but he's going to say, guys, if we want to win defensively, A, B, and C, this is acceptable, this is unacceptable. And he'll hold them accountable based on what the coach is telling him. But he's not going to go over there and, you guys got to do this and this and this. Like, he's going to let them cook.
I know, you're drowning in coaching buzzwords right now. Culture, scheme, accountability. But bear with me here. Of course Kubiak is vowing to bring all of those things to Vegas. It's obligatory for every first-time head coach. But just because he demands a lot from his team doesn't make him a tyrant. In fact, one of the ways he led a Super Bowl winning offense was by listening to his players.
He's always listening to players, and I think that's the best part about a really good coach is they listen to their players, but they also understand when to, that fine line of kind of like, all right, we're going to listen to you, but this is kind of the best way that we see fit for this game, this game plan. So Clint does a really good job, and I think just how honest he is. I think a lot of players really appreciate that.
So, unlike Josh McDaniels before him, he knows how to take input from his players while maintaining his authority. And unlike Chip Kelly from last year, Kubiak has an offensive scheme that actually works in today's football. So what exactly is this fabled run scheme? At its most basic, Klint Kubiak's offenses are predominantly zone-based run blocking schemes, and at their best, as we saw in Super Bowl 60, successfully establishing that run game allows them to routinely create explosive passing plays that gash the opposition and keep them off balance. What does that take? Well, first and foremost, a pretty damn accurate quarterback.
He cracked me bad, like no pause.
Well, what do you know? Look who has the first overall pick, the Las Vegas Raiders.
He was quoted yesterday saying, hey, I got to watch a lot of tape to determine who's going to be the #1 pick. Clint, I've seen the tape. Draft Fernando Mendoza.
If there's one guy in this draft who can throw accurate, beautiful deep balls and thrive in a well-defined offensive system, it's Fernando Mendoza. The consensus #1 prospect has fallen right into the Raiders' laps, and it's hard to think of a prospect more tailor-made for Kubiak's football than the Hoosiers QB. Mendoza's football Las Vegas has to offer. You plop him onto this Raiders team, and he can pretty much replace Charlie Becker with Brock Bowers like for like. That may sound outlandish, but the Raiders will happily line Bowers up on the outside for Mendoza to chuck the ball to down the sideline. Those explosive passing plays will be safe in Bowers' hands. He led all tight ends as a rookie in 2024 with 15 contested catches. But it's not just Bowers and Mendoza who are a perfect fit for the scheme.
Because everyone is going to focus so much on the quarterback and Mendoza and the things that they can do, but I think everyone has to really, the roots of this system is about being able to run the football and to run it down your throat, running outside zone primarily, and then all the complementary bootlegs and misdirection action and bootleg half pull up, throw it across country. All those things come off of being able to establish the run. And if you can establish the run with Ashton, Jeanty, who I think is perfect for this blocking scheme, this system where they're going to have him go a little downhill, but get to the edges.
Right.
To me, there's so many more things than just, he's going to have the quarterback of his choice.
I know, I just brought up Jeanty without addressing the O-line. First, over 77% of his total yards last season came after contact, so even a marginal improvement in O-line play under Kubiak would see Jeanty explode. Second, Seattle's O-line turnaround in 2025 was one of the underappreciated parts of their Super Bowl run. There weren't any huge personnel changes outside of Gray Zabel. Kubiak's scheme was just the perfect fit for the linemen and skill position players to make that jump from below average to elite offense. Even if that isn't exactly the case in Vegas, it is important to keep in mind that good O-line play could still be closer than you'd think for these Raiders.
Some people have talked about, well, the offensive line is not in good shape, so do they need to fix that first? And look, the Patriots are in the Super Bowl this year with 4/5 of an offensive line they didn't have a year prior. You can flip the offensive line around. They already have a left tackle in Colton Miller, provided he can be healthy for a full season. He's a very solid player there. They can fill in around it in free agency and the rest of the draft, but I think this is a good reset for them. Get the coach, get the quarterback, and off you go.
So there we go. Considering they have the second most cap space of any team in the league at $91 million, they could easily follow in the Pats' footsteps, overhaul the line, and significantly raise this roster's talent floor. Their cap situation has inadvertently set them up for success in another way too.
Teams have to spend a certain percentage, the salary cap floor, over 3-year buckets. Okay, so this is the third year of that 3-year stretch. The Las Vegas Raiders are very much below that 90% threshold. So what I mean is they absolutely have to spend money this free agency, more than $50 million in cash alone. Well, if you release Geno Smith, that's taking some money off the books. We remember, of course, Christian Wilkins and his money that got voided. They need a Maxx Crosby and his contract in order to help them get to that salary cap floor. So
who knew it was in the Raiders' best interest to keep their best player on the books? Given this added financial incentive, they can demand an almighty haul for the 28-year-old defensive end. But why not keep him? Crosby is the defense's biggest contributor by quite some margin, and his position coach, Rob Leonard, just got promoted to defensive coordinator. Whether he stays or goes, Maxx Crosby will provide immense value for this team. Other veterans like Malcolm Kuntz, Jeremy Chin, and Devin White, if he chooses to re-sign, will also provide a solid foundation upon which a new Raiders defense can be built. But beyond all of the trade talks, the scheme fit, and the Raiders' mystique, there's another reason why the Klint Kubiak hire has finally brought some optimism to this fan base.
And what he can bring is the hope that he is the guy that they were looking for last year in Ben Johnson, the young, up-and-coming coordinator on the offensive side of the ball who they can attach to a quarterback of the future with them having the first overall choice. A lot of hope that they can build this roster around whoever they draft first overall. It does appear to be Fernando Mendoza on everybody's minds.
It may sound trivial to harp on how symbolic Klint Kubiak and Fernando Mendoza will be for this new era of Raiders football before they've ever played a game. But put yourself in the silver and black shoes for a moment. Sentimentality towards this team was a thing of the past. Nostalgia was the only thing that kept people tuning in. Through moves to 3 different cities, the incessant chaos, losing, and heartbreak, you never got to see the Raiders just do the right thing and follow what works for the rest of the league. Yet, their fans stayed true through it all. Now, they are finally falling in line. Get a young, offensive-minded coach, draft a quarterback high that's not named Jamarcus Russell, surround him with playmakers, and let them go to work. We're not saying they're going to dominate the division in 2026. The Chiefs are in freefall, the Chargers will always choke, but the Broncos just look too good. What we are saying is that these Raiders need to be taken seriously. They're not just 2 free wins for the AFC West anymore, they're building something that is legitimately exciting. On February 8th, 2026, Klint Kubiak lifted his first Lombardi trophy on the same field his father had 10 years prior. If things go to plan in Vegas, Kubiak Jr. won't be waiting quite so long for another shot at the Super Bowl, this time donning the iconic silver and black. But what do you think? How far are these Raiders from actually turning things around? Let us know in the comments.